Hi guys, and welcome to yet another review, and this time I bring to you the SEEAUDIO Bravery the Anniversary Limited Edition. As you all know, my name is Akros, or you can call me Tony if you want, not a problem. And I always do my very best to bring you the not so popular IEMs. I try and bring IEMs that not a lot of people are willing to take the risk in buying. Although in the case of the Bravery, it wasn't really a risk because it was to be expected that it was going to be something special, and it is. It is in fact special, and the rumors that it was tuned slightly different to the original Bravery, I can confirm are true. They are not rumors; they are true. There has been a slight retuning of the Bravery the Anniversary Edition, and that slight tuning has brought some very welcomed improvements to the Bravery. Anyway, this is the box, the typical already SEEAUDIO kind of visual presentation with the waifus and so on. Open it up, and hold on 1 second, sorry, come on, there we go, sorry about that. Anyway, inside, very nice presentation. It brings a modular cable, okay, from Hakuge. Brings ASLA Celastic tips and some foams as well. And funny enough, actually this time I've actually used the Celastic as opposed to the original Bravery, which I didn't use Celastic. Firstly because I didn't like that sticky feeling, and I guess this time I just dealt with it, and when I use the foams compared to the Celastic, I actually found the silicones, the Celastic, gave me more desirable results. Anyway, the IEMs came over there. I'll show it to you in a second. Tips underneath there was some more information and some stuff that comes with the package. The usual puck style carrying case. And yeah, that's it. Simple. I mean, I'm guessing if you take into consideration the cable, which is Hakuge, and the fact that they've put some nice tips, I guess you could try and find a justification for the high $270, $280 price that's being asked. But anyway, it's all very relative as well, because at the end of the day, it depends on how much we are willing to how much value we are willing to attribute to whatever we are buying. But like I said, I guess with this kind of quality accessories being included, and the fact that it is a limited edition, and the fact that there has been a retune, I guess we can say that the price is somewhat justified. That's it. Okay. The cable, the Hakuge cable, as you can see, very nice cable, very nice cable. I actually have to admit that I've been using more Hakuge cables lately than I was using before. Those of you that follow me know that I like XINHS and IVIPQ, but Hakuge cables really have been something which I have been using lately, and I like it. Anyway, the IEMs, let me see if I can just zoom this, there we go. The videos, the pictures, they don't do justice to how beautiful these IEMs are. Honestly, this combination of this nice ruby colored resin shell with this gold, the symbol of SEEAUDIO and Bravery and all of that, it just makes it look very premium. It reminds you of way more expensive IEMs, vision ears and stuff like that. Anyway, beautiful. In terms of the fit, what I can say is that it's flawless. In my case, at least, I have absolutely no complaints. It fits beautifully in my ears. Actually, the original already was a nice fitting IEM. Okay, the truth be told. Isolation perfect. It's it's very light. It's only 4 BAs inside anyway, but it's a very light IEM. And it's just non-fatiguing. It just fits in there. The Celastic tips, like I said, they've got this sticky sensation to them, but actually I have to admit that once you get past that initial I don't know, strangeness of that, they really help secure the IEM in place, and they are something else. Anyway, that's the IEM itself. So in terms of accessories, in terms of its hardware, in terms of how physically it is, I think it's more than satisfactory. What did I use? I used my M15, my Q-Style M15 for this comparison, for the listening tests, and I used as well my Frankenstein, my NX7, and I've got it now with the UA3. I sometimes also put still the Acme, the Sound Magic, and the reason why I use this one and the Acme is because they're using AKM DACs chip insides, and actually the UAE3 is just got a little bit extra more openness to the sound as compared to the Acme, and that's why I like it slightly more. I usually use the Acme now when it's a very bright IEM. I'll use that, and it kind of just tames things down slightly, but this one is more versatile, let's put it that way. Okay, and the NX7, well, we already know it's clean, it's an amazing amplifier, very reminiscent of Topping's desktop stuff in terms of its overall cleanliness and how it doesn't add anything to the music. It's very crystal clear. It's really, it's something else. Anyway, that's that out of the way. So what do I have here, and what have I compared the anniversary with? Well, I've compared to the DT300 from AudioSense, which has been always my rec for a well, these are 3 and 4 BAs. So let's say up to 4 BA, 4 BA sets. This has been my rec. On this side here, I've got the GS Audio, the ST4, and then on the center here, I've got the Braveries, the original Bravery and the Anniversary. As for the DT300, what can I say about the DT300? Well, it's one of those IEMs that you know, in its stock format, because it graphs somewhat funny or weird, or I don't know what you want to call it, but it graphs in a weird way. And I mean, look at this build. This build is something else. I mean, we have to hand it over to AudioSense, or you know, they might have their faults like every manufacturer has, but when it comes to building and the quality of the build, that's not one of their faults. But anyway, as I was saying, it's an IEM that when you see its graph, you are left wondering, you know, what is it going to sound like? Is it going to sound decently? Is it going to, you know? But once you use the impedance adapter, which is in this case a 30 ohm impedance adapter, which honestly I see absolutely nothing wrong. Some people, but if with the impedance adapter it sounds good, then it means it wasn't properly tuned, and it wasn't properly this, it wasn't properly that. You know what? Honestly, I really do not care. I think if the impedance adapter is able to showcase what the IEM is able of doing, then be it. You know, it's as simple as that. And I'll show you the graphs now in a second. I'm just going to go through the IEMs first, and then I'll show you the graphs. It's got a kind of a harmonish signature with a sub-bass focus. I mean, how can I put this? The bass and the sub-bass are the star of the show, in my opinion. Then the mids, and then in third place the highs, and in that order. But that doesn't mean that they don't marry together nicely, or they're not coherent. No, they marry with each other really nicely. They're very coherent. But it's the bass that immediately jumps to you, because it doesn't have the usual or the typical BA tonality associated with it. That kind of, you know, timbre. No, it's really good. It's you know, the quality, the texture. It's very well done, very well implemented in that aspect. The mids are absolutely flawless. They've got a nice little small dip there at around 5K, which does away with any sort of sibilance or anything that you might encounter. And then the highs are are perfect in my opinion. They just the right amount of energy to just make for a very, very nice overall sound signature. It's super detailed. Soundstage is wide. It's not deep, but it's wide. The imaging is good, but it's detailed retrieval that really stands out in the DT300. And overall, it's a very nice IEM to listen to. Yes, you ultimately do see that it's a BA unit, but the truth is that the way that it's been done and the way that it's been put together, the tonality, the timbre, everything, it will be, I think, an excellent choice for someone that hasn't gotten into full BA sets. I think this is definitely an amazing choice, as is the DT600, mind you, its bigger brother, as is the T800 as well. But this as a starting point is very good. There's really, I mean, the DT200 is a very nice IEM, but it's very vocal centric. It doesn't have the amount of bass energy that sometimes you would want. So I would actually say that might not be the ideal one to jump into. This one, at around $170, which you can pick up for, is very good value for money. Very, very good value for money. If you take into consideration that you've got some offerings from TRN, like the BA15, which is even more expensive, and next to this is, well, appalling in terms of sound. And you've got other offerings. I mean, you've got some KZs which come very, very close to the price that the DT300 costs, upper $130. Again, this thing just eats it alive. And it does it all with 3 BAs, very standard BAs, 22 955, 29 689, and a 30095, if I'm not mistaken. So very simple units, but well implemented. That's that. GS Audio ST4, part of the ST series. This uses a combination of Sonian and Knowles. It's got a Sonian, well, two Sonians 38D1Xs, which give it monstrous bass, that's the truth. Then it's backed up by a 22955, which helps out in the mid bass and in the lower mids. And then for the rest of the range, it's got a 2389, if I'm not mistaken, a Sonian. So you got Sonian, Knowles, Sonian, 4 units. And I mean, if I have to compare this with the DT300, when it comes to things like detailed retrieval and the other technicalities, it's got no chance. It loses to the DT300. Where it might win the DT300 is if you want something which is great for rock music because of all the mid bass emphasis that it's got. If you want something which can play really loud, but this is it's actually interesting because the ST series, you see a very big change in the overall let's say tuning and kind of orientation of the sound as you go along with the various models. Is this done intentionally, or is this just something which was not thought of? I've got no idea. All I do know is, for example, you listen to an ST1 and it's all about balance. It's all about, for a single DD, it's like really something else. The ST4 is all about power and in your face and so on. The ST6A, for example, is all about great stage monitor, loads of emphasis in the upper mids and early treble. For stage usage, perfect. If you then listen to the ST8B, wow, that thing is an absolute beast when it comes to, again, being balanced, coherent, reproducing everything in a very nice, neutralish, warm manner. Beautiful. It's like a bigger version of the ST1. And this, the ST4, like I just said, this is all about fun, engaging, power. Hits you hard. The bass is monstrous, like I said. The mids are really good. Where it loses out is that the 2389 just doesn't have enough extension as compared to the DT300 to make it have that extra little, like I call it, twinklies and up top. So it closes down a little bit the overall sound, coupled to the fact that we've got so much bass. I mean, dual 38D1Xs. So it just loses in that department. It's not the most tonally correct because of that. So it's in my opinion, more color than the DT300. Anyway, that's enough of the ST4. Let's get on to what we want to hear about is the anniversary and the original Bravery. Well, let's talk original Bravery initially. The original Bravery got a lot of attention, or was the focus of some attention. I'm just looking for my notes. Please forgive me if you hear too much noise. It's not done intentionally, because of the fact that it kind of had an overall curve graphically that kind of reminded you of the Anole VX. And as we know, graphs are not everything, and just because it graphed like the Anole VX, it doesn't mean it sounded like the Anole VX. Although, to the untrained ear, if you heard it, you probably would say, wow, this thing does sound like the Anole VX. But no, it doesn't have the ultimate resolution and detail capability that the Anole has. But having said that, it's a very well tuned IEM for what it is. This was costing around $250 roughly. The lows were rich, textured. There was no muddiness. It was fast. It was good. It had again a good timbre and tonality associated with the overall bass and sub bass. Although there could be a little bit more sub bass. There could be a little bit more rumbling and so on and so forth. But overall, it was fine. The mids were warm, smooth, perfect. I mean, the mids are the star of the show, in my opinion. Is where the mids really. They could occasionally be, but this I guess has to do with my preferred genre of music. They could occasionally be with some female voices a little bit recessed. Okay, but that's me. Overall, no, I'm not gonna say they are recessed. They are very good. The vocals are fine. Only the female vocals sometimes just sounded a little bit, where it started not being as, or shining as well as the rest of the frequency range is in the highs. That although they were enough in the sense of being in the suffice quantity with regards to the rest, and that they didn't have enough sibilance, there were quite a few times that you would say, oh, I wish there was just a little bit more. Again, this is me personally with my playlist. Probably a lot of you did not find it, and probably a lot of you actually found that it had more than enough treble. And I don't consider myself a treble head. I guess I'm just getting old and my hearing is not as good as it used to be. But it's non-sibilant, it's clean, it's detailed. It just could be a little bit more energetic. All right. The timbre overall, I think is pretty decent. I think it's been well done. Yes, ultimately will then pick up that it's a BA unit, as you do on the DT300, but it's not like it's oh no, this is terrible. No. What you did occasionally also notice was that it was somewhat dry sounding. Some of the bass impact, some of the slam in the mid bass could be sometimes a little bit dry sounding. Or on the DT300, you cannot pick up so much on that dryness, purely because there is not so much emphasis on the mid bass as there is on the sub bass, and somehow that focusing on one end of the spectrum as opposed to another just takes away that dryness, that cold slam that the Bravery occasionally had. But I mean, this is me now really going onto the all-out details of it. Where was then the biggest point of concern, or the thing that kind of left some people a little bit on the disappointed side with regards to the Bravery? At $250, as to be expected when you start talking a certain amount of numbers in terms of money, you expect a certain level of everything. And in its technicalities, the technicalities were no better than, for example, let's say um, a 10 Hi-Fi T3 Plus, or even not much better than the SEEAUDIO Yume. And we're talking 3-4 times the price. We're talking twice the price as compared to a Yume. We're talking 4 times the price almost as compared to the 10 Hi-Fi. And what do I mean by that? I mean that soundstage is a little bit, it's not wide, it's not deep, it's imaging suffered with that, but not as much as the overall soundstage. So imaging sometimes can be, left to be questionable, and detailed retrieval as well. The micro details and the overall dynamics are they are lacking more than what they should be lacking. Let's put it that way. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of basically an overview of these three. What does the Bravery, the Anniversary Edition, bring to this whole equation? Well, it basically took the good points of the Bravery, so the nice bass with the good texture, with the with the nice dynamic feel that the bass had, good timbre. I mean, really, it took the mids which were and the vocals which were good already, but improved upon them. There's no longer that sensation of recessed female vocals. There's no longer I mean, the mids are super resolving in my opinion. The timbre and the tonality on the mids is spot on. But it's where it really improved was in the technicalities. So because of the added energy, and I'll show you now in a second the graph, because of the added energy that was given on the upper registers as compared to the original Bravery, it just opened up the sound completely. When I reviewed the Bravery, I actually said that it lost to the DT300, especially in that aspect, because you could pick up on all the little things on the DT300, and it was not so evident on the Bravery, and that's why it got second place. Coupled to the fact that it was substantially more expensive than the DT300, it made you question, was it a worthwhile jump or worthwhile choice if you didn't have a BA. This has improved upon that. So it's got this perfect amount of energy now in the highs, in the upper, in the upper mids, the presence in the brilliance area. There's enough air. Everything just sounds super detailed as compared to the original Bravery. Soundstage is now wide. You can feel that it's wide. Imaging has become what it should be. Detailed retrieval, like I said, spot on. Is it still, or am I going to put it? Let me put it to you this way: or is this improvement in the technicalities of the anniversary worthy of a $280 IEM? Yes and no. It is much better than what was the case on the original Bravery, although you still can, okay, there could be still slight improvements still done, but the jump was very, very significant. Anyway, let me just put you at the graph, and by showing you the graph, I think a lot of things will explain themselves much better. Okay, this first graph that you see here is the graph of the DT300, and as I mentioned, you can definitely see that focus there on the sub bass, and basically by not even 200 hertz, it's almost flat. It's got a very smooth pinna gain, plateaus there after 2.5. That dip that I was mentioning to you there at around 5 to avoid sibilance and so on and so forth. Then it's got that coupler related peak and then extension past that. But as you can see, it's almost ruler flat. Taking away that peak, there's not many ups and downs there. It's actually quite flat, and with a tendency of going down like that, as you can see, which is what we want. We want things to go down in this kind of a fashion. So you can see that the curve has a tendency of peaking, and then it slowly goes down. So overall, the tuning of the DT300, perfect. Let me put now here the GS Audio, by comparison, the GS Audio, an absolute beast, absolute animal. I mean, look at all that energy there in the mid bass. You know, yes, the mids then do kind of follow more or less a little bit there, the initial part of the mids of the DT300, but you have that energy there at 5K, which can sometimes translate itself into a little bit of sibilance, and then it drops off a little bit too early, in my opinion, which then takes away, as I mentioned earlier, the ability to there be more detailed retrieval, better technicalities. But this mid bass, this crazy amount of mid bass that you have, it's a two-way thing. You either like it or you hate it. I mean, when I reviewed the Bravery and so on, I actually said that I was going to put the Bravery on the same position as the ST4, because you can't really say one is bad, one is worse, or one is wrong and one is correct. No, it's what is your thing, whatever rocks your boat. So if you prefer a more impactful kind of sound, you know, ST4 is for you. The same kind of situation that, for example, happened with the original Audio Neon and the RSV. It's not correct to compare the two, because their premise in terms of tuning was completely different. And I think the premise of the tuning of the ST4 was supposed to be an in-your-face IEM in terms of its bass impact, and you can feel it. I mean, it slams really hard. 38 D1X. You know, those that don't know what it's capable of, this is a perfect example. But again, having said that, it's a BA unit that, when tuned, well, it's very versatile in its tuning. Let's put it that way. Okay, so these two. Let me take away here these two and put the original Bravery, which is this one here. Okay, that's the original Bravery, and that's a nice curve. I mean, you know, a lot of reminiscence of the Anole VX. Nice smooth sub bass into mid bass, decent transition into the mids, no bleed. You can see that from 1.5 all the way up to 8K, it's basically ruler flat. It's got that little dip there at 5K as well to do away with any potential sibilance and things like that, and then extension past that. So flawless. I mean, you look at this curve and you know it's going to play well, and it does play well. It does. Only the technicalities was, you know, like I said, a little bit of a letdown. Now let's put the Bravery, the Anniversary Edition, and you know what? Let me just actually put it in red, because it deserves to be in red, and it also stands out a bit more. There we go. I think the graph speaks for itself. It's got basically the same bass, a little slight reduction in the mid bass between 100 and 200 hertz, which you don't really pick up on it. I'll be honest, you don't really pick up on it. You just notice that the bass is more tonally correct. There's no difference in terms of slam or impact. The mid's perfect, again the same dip at around 5, and then you can see it's past 5 where the biggest difference occurs, and it is noticeable, my friends. When you hear it, you know that there's a definite improvement in that extreme part of in that, you know, upper end of the frequency range, and that I think is what really has improved upon the minor flaws that the original Bravery had. You still have all the goodness of that nice lush full bass. I mean, honestly, for a 22.955, that is some seriously good bass. Okay, clean mids, clean. You don't notice that slight recess, like I was saying, and I think it's down to the fact that you now have that energy in the highs up top. You know, so because you now have that extra that's been added there. It's noticeable. It's very noticeable. And then the overall technicalities have been substantially improved. The soundstage is now there. It's much wider. It goes outside of your head slightly. It's not so intimate like the original Bravery's was. You can get a sense of depth, of height. Imaging, like I said, substantially improved, much better. Detailed retrieval, micro details. You can pick up on all little, like I usually say, the twinklies and the sparklies. They're all there. So yes, the rumors that it had been tuned differently or improved they are true. You can see it there. And honestly, if you don't have the Bravery, the original one, and you are looking for a Bravery, then the limited edition, the anniversary, if you can find it, if you can get it. It's definitely worth it. As for the overall, let's put it, overall rec in terms of what I suggest you get for under $300, because I mean we're talking $280, or is this a better proposition than the DT300? Yes, it is a better proposition than the DT300. The only issue here is that you have the DT600, which is $240, which is still $40 cheaper than the anniversary. How does this stack to the DT600? I'll be honest, I heard the DT600 briefly with the Bravery, the Anniversary Edition. I didn't spend too much time. And this one, the Anniversary, as compared to the DT600, is more neutral. On the DT600, you do pick up on it being more V-shaped, okay? The signature being more V-shaped. The DT600 basically being a DT300, more emphasized in the extremes of the frequency response. And again, you have to use the impedance adapter to really get it to shine. Does it make more sense than the DT600 with such a brief comparison? I would still say yes. I wish that obviously the Anniversary Edition would have been priced a little bit lower, because, as I said, when you start talking $300, you have a lot of very good IEMs out there. And I'm just going to mention the name of the Lecture S12. I mean, that thing is an absolute beast, and for $150, it's a tough one. It is a really tough one. You can pick up a self Tanstrom Oxygen, again another tough one. Hey, you can pick up an Anole for that matter as well. So there's a lot of IEMs below $300 currently, which are very, very, very good. Another crazy good IEM that I just recently reviewed, the high senior, the Mega 5P. Wow! I mean, that thing, you can pick it up with a discount that I have. You can pick it up for $199. You can pick it up for $199 exactly. So you've got a lot of really good IEMs below the $300 mark, and it will all depend on how far you're willing to stretch your wallet, and what is it that you want. You want a hybrid, you want a single DD, you want a planar, you want an all BA set. But as an all BA set under $300, I would definitely say this is probably the better one that currently is one of the better ones that is currently available in terms of its sound. I'm going to disregard now the price. In terms of value for money, overall value for money, then the DT300 is still a very, very well. It's still the best, the DT300, and the DT600 is also a very, very interesting proposition. All right. Anyway, guys, as always, please like and subscribe. Any questions that you want to ask, please feel free. Shoot. I'll do my best to always answer, as you know. And I'll see you in the next one. Yin Yin Canon. Take care, guys.